no surprise people are leaving Warzone in quantities we've never seen before, but I think the reasons for this mass exodus is actually a lot more complicated than people realize. So today we're going to talk about the rapid decline of Warzone and how that affects each and every single one of us, including you. Along with 1.2 million other people, you may have already seen this video, but I actually disagree with a lot of the points that it makes. And if you're wondering what it is, I'm talking about the video from JackFrags titled "What the Hell Happened to Call of Duty Warzone?" And while I do agree with literally like 80% of what there is to say here, I think there's a lot of information left out, things that led to other things. And while Jack is so well spoken, I think there's a lot of stuff that comes from being able to explain what it's like on a day-to-day basis when someone like Jack hasn't been in the swing of things for quite some time with Call of Duty Warzone. So with that said, we're going to be diving in and taking a look at his video and kind of dissecting the things that he says and deciding what does make sense, what doesn't make sense, and whether or not Call of Duty's ever going to make a comeback at this point. Either way, let's go ahead and dive in.
Back to March 2020, you may have been one of the many people playing Call of Duty Warzone, free to play and a fresh take on the Battle Royale genre, implemented into a gritty Modern Warfare rebooted universe. Many Call of Duty fans experiencing 150 player combined arms battles with infantry.
Off rip, I think that is one note that we kind of need to pay attention to, is that he said 150 player Battle Royale. He said that up front, and it was one of the biggest selling points for Call of Duty Warzone. A lot of other Battle Royales at the time, I mean, they had a lot going for them. Don't get me wrong, PUBG was huge, but every Battle Royale was 100 players. Warzone was 150. Now, it didn't start with 150. I want to say that. It started with, I think, either 100 or 120. It was trios only, and you would hop in and you had to play the way that you had to play. But slowly they released more playlists, and they ended up finally at 150 players. It was solid, everything worked, and we were all good. It was considered the Warzone beta at the time. But after a little bit, it got pretty good. Now, I will note that Infinity Ward were the people in charge, which means that they never got anything done. Until Raven took over, it really wasn't all that great. And you may not remember this, but seriously, there were so many glitches in the game that sometimes it was almost unplayable. But that 150 players right there, the fact that we could hold 150 players meant so much. And I mean that. It was crazy that the servers were stable enough to do that 150 players. But we'll come back to that topic in a little bit.
And vehicles on a large map for the very first time. Intense combat and a second chance at life should you win a brutal 1v1 fight in the gulag, or your teammates gathered enough money to buy you back at the last second while the play space shrinks around you. The loadout system allowed you to customize your own preferred arsenal, tweaking and meddling with weapon builds in the gunsmith. The guns felt varied, viable, punchy, with realistic function, accurate reloads and more recoil. They sounded incredible. The game was just pure fun and offered a great space to kick back with your friends and have a laugh in a Call of Duty sandbox like never before.
And I do want to note, all of this came at the perfect time. Literally, COVID happened right then. At that exact moment, COVID hit, and it literally took the world by storm. So to sit here and say, oh, it was a great way to kick back. Yes, not only that, but the reason it blew up to the point that it did, the reason that they canceled Blackout 2, the reason that this game continued on past its singular year that it was expected to have. There was no plans for the future whatsoever after 1 year. Remember that. The reason why is because it made Activision so much money, such a ridiculous amount of money, like in the B's, not the M's, the B's. They hit billions in the first year of Warzone. So just know that it wasn't just that, wow, it was a good game. That was a good game, and it hit at the very perfect time. So
to January 2025, and things have significantly changed for Call of Duty and Warzone. The situation is not good. The player count is falling. The last time I personally played Warzone was when they released the Area 99 map on November 14th last year. I played about...
Now, I'm going to pause this right here because I'm pretty sure I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it, but there was a comment that I saw whenever I was first trying to take a look at this video. And what they mentioned was that if you look at the footage of this right here versus him going into the gameplay footage of Area 99, then it looks very different. But I think the big issue with that is that that's gameplay versus rendered footage. So just remember, you're not going to be able to compare that directly. Gameplay footage of Modern Warfare 19 is good. In fact, I have a great video. You you should go check it out, where I went back and played Modern Warfare 2019. But Black Ops 6 and now Warzone kind of look like crap. And the reason why actually is something you wouldn't realize, but it's forced anti-aliasing for one, which means that if you look at this, everything is kind of smoothed out. If you remember anything about Modern Warfare 2019, everything had some really jagged edges. Like literally, it was super sharp across the board. And that was without having any sort of AMD Fidelity Cast upscaling. So that made a big difference. But I just want to remind people that comparing these two games is very difficult simply based on the fact that they were just built so different. I don't know why we're forced into using anti-aliasing now, but every game I played after playing CSGO way back in the day, every single game that I played and I had the option, I would turn off anti-aliasing. You don't want it to be smoothed out. And the issue with these games now is that you're forced to have anti-aliasing, which pretty much ruins the visual experience, especially if you're playing in 1080p or 1440p. Now in 4K, it's pretty sharp for me, right? But at 1080p or 1440p, it looks pretty rough and it smooths things out and it makes stuff look like super gross, in my opinion. Also, I'm pretty sure it lowers your frames, which isn't great.
I played about 5 matches in total on that. I made one video and I logged off. All of my real life friends don't play the game anymore. The milkman doesn't play the game anymore. My content creator friends don't play the game anymore. We don't talk about it at all. There's no desire to play right now. But why? So
like you said right there, it's been about 5 months since you really played the game. So this is what I was talking about at the beginning of the video, where I said, we're going to talk about the day-to-day rather than what it's like to hop on and just play it casually, because I think there's a big difference. And don't get me wrong, y'all probably don't play daily. I mean, most of y'all probably don't play daily. A lot of y'all have probably moved on to a different game. And I'm not sitting here like trying to whine about the game. That's not the goal. My goal is to kind of literally look at the differences, see how we got to where we are, and see if there's anything for the future.
And what the hell happened here? Well, in this video, I'm going to give some feedback and try to understand and explain what happened. I'm going to keep it as brief as I can, and I'm going to make some assumptions. This is more how I feel. There's going to be some feels over reels here, but everything that I say is based on my experience with this game and from listening to other people's experiences and viewpoints. I realize how hard it must be to make a massive game like this, but consider this some constructive criticism from a fan. You won't agree with me on everything, and that's perfectly fine. I'm going to be wrong about some things, but do let me know your thoughts below. But this is how I feel about the current situation, and hopefully offers some potential solutions.
Now, I will note the reason that I'm actually going to be sharing this video with y'all and my reaction, which to be fair is less of a reaction at this point because I have watched most of this video, but I watched it via looking at JGod's video talking about it. And JGod made a lot of points that I really liked, and it wasn't anything against JackFrags. And it's the same thing that I'm trying to say, is that there's a lot of differences that you won't recognize unless you play it daily, similar to how he played it daily way back in the day. But Warzone's very different. I get it. I don't expect him to play it daily, and that's not my goal whatsoever. Just be like, how dare you not play daily and not know what you're talking about? That's not the point at all. The goal is to just kind of understand truly what's going on and grasp it. And I think he does a great job overall, but there's a couple of tweaks that I would make a little bit later.
Doing this because I used to love playing Warzone on a daily basis. Now I don't touch the thing and I want to see it improve. We'll be discussing some general COD stuff in here too. Now I want to be clear that I'm also making this video from the perspective of a gamer rather than someone who makes YouTube videos for a living. Forget about that. I've played almost all of the Call of Duty games on PC in online multiplayer since the very first Call of Duty set in World War II. I was running around Karantan and Stalingrad, fragging out on a 56k modem, having a blast. Before that, it was Medal of Honor Allied Assault. I've seen it all. Things have changed a lot though for Call of Duty since then. I'm also predicting that with COD bringing back Verdansk in March or April this year, as the rumors go, they are hoping that it's going to reinvigorate the game and the players will come flooding back. However, I don't think this will be the case unless there are significant meaningful changes, as there are many fundamental issues with the current build that will overshadow any nostalgia that will quickly fade away. So
I'm gonna give you two things off rip, and we're probably gonna end up talking about these a little bit later as well, maybe three. But one, cheaters. If they were to fix cheaters, figure out an actual anti-cheat and not have to constantly fight against just banning accounts, and then instead they're preemptively catching these accounts like before they even get in, if they could figure that out, good. And then if they could figure out skill-based matchmaking, I think it would make a massive, massive difference. Because when you look back at these games, when you look back at Verdansk, Warzone, everyone sucked. I'm not joking. Everybody sucked. The reason that Joewo blew up, the reason that a lot of these guys blew up, including myself, is that we had the time to play and get better than everybody else. In fact, the whole reason that I was able to get a lot of views in my content is because I started making videos on how to improve at the game. That's how my channel grew at the beginning of Warzone. But the issue is now everybody's good. The game is easier to play than ever. And I know that it seems like it's not to some of you, but the reality is there's a lot of mechanics in the game that have made it easier for any player to be better than the other player, especially with super broken aim assist, which I have a video that I posted yesterday where you should check it out, where I played with no aim assist and explained how aim assist works. And it might actually make you a better player. So if you want to check that out, that'd be great. But players have gotten progressively better. So with skill-based matchmaking actively splitting up the player base, and I've talked about this since Verdansk, with skill-based matchmaking or engagement optimized matchmaking, realistically, making people not recognize, you've got literally a group of like people that are like below average. You've got people that are above average. These two don't mingle enough, right? And because of that, people assume that everyone better than them is cheating. So realistically, the thing that keeps people from wanting to play the game is cheating across the board. But even if you fix cheating, people are still going to think that everyone else has some sort of cheat. That's the issue. There's just no way around it. You have to change the system entirely. The matchmaking system needs to go in order to fix all the issues that we're seeing here. But the problem is that Activision makes more money based off of engagement optimized matchmaking. That is the truth of it. So matchmaking is not going to change, not because it will make it more fun for the game, but because it tricks people into spending more time on the game, even if they don't want to. Imagine sitting there scrolling TikTok. You don't watch videos that you love. You're not excited to sit there and do it. You just do it. You doom scroll. And that's kind of what it's like to play Call of Duty. But those two things, along with the fact that people are actively getting better, the player base is growing a little bit smaller. I mean, it's a few things that literally will change the way that the landscape will be within Verdansk, and it's not going to be how we remember it. You're not going to run into people that are lost in the sauce, that are camped in a building, hiding like a little baby back bee. No, you're going to run into people that are slipping and sliding, being demons. Now, a lot of y'all might be in protected lobbies. That's okay. But it's still not going to be the same. There's just no way around it because everyone understands it. Everyone grasps how to play Warzone now.
2025 Warzone, what are the problems? We're going to start with gameplay. The current iteration of Warzone as a whole is too complicated, especially for new and returning players. 2020 Warzone was simple, and I've broken this gameplay bit down into sections. First up, we're going to talk about movement. The movement in 2020 Warzone was basic. You had aim, shoot, sprint, tactical sprint, slide, and a contextual weapon mount. It was easy to understand and simple to get to grips with for new or existing COD players. 2025 Warzone integrated with Black Ops 6, and it took on the new Omni movement system. You can now sprint in any direction, dive through the air in any direction, lie on your back and shoot, dive, slide, get up really quick, continue shooting, crouch slide. It has many complexities leading to...
All right, this is one of those things where I'm gonna say he's halfway right. Omni movement is much better. There's just no way around it. If you change a singular setting, one setting, that's it. You need to change one setting and your movement will be perfect. It'll feel better than every other Call of Duty. Turn on tactical sprint assist and set the sprint delay to 0. It's that simple. You change that setting. Obviously, you can change your tap to run and stuff like that in the other settings. I'm assuming you already have that. But if you change that with Omni movement, you will feel much better than you ever did in Modern Warfare 2019. And the reason I say that is because I went back and played Modern Warfare 2019, which still runs on the exact same engine as Warzone 1 originally did. So understand, it is not actually like that. The issue is that it calls for you to use a single setting to change it. Now, I think we should get rid of dolphin diving. I'm going to say it up front. I think diving is bad for the game. I think it is genuinely not one of those things that we need. Mantling, like or grabbing stuff and ledge hanging and stuff like that, also bad for the game, in my personal opinion. I think those two things are the complication whenever it comes to movement that we just don't need. Get those two things out. We're going to be vibing. The issue is that we will not see those things leave because there are a certain group of players that enjoy it, and the likelihood of Call of Duty taking out a feature is much, much less. But when it comes to this, I don't think it's much more complicated. I don't even use dive. I literally have it set to tap to slide. The only thing that dive has ever been useful for me is diving off of buildings and then pulling my parachute so that I can get a faster parachute pull and I can jump higher. But I don't do that. I just do tap to slide. That's literally it. So I only use slide. The problem with ledge hanging is that it does suck, frankly. It's pretty stupid. But everything else is much easier, in my personal opinion. And if you spend 5 minutes with it instead of a whole year playing Warzone 1, I think a lot of people would recognize that as well. It is much smoother. And if you don't believe me, literally play Black Ops 6 and then immediately go back and play Modern Warfare 2019 and tell me I'm wrong. Go ahead. I double dog dare you.
Unpredictable, frustrating, and confusing firefights. It's difficult to understand just from a base level, featuring many customizable options too that confuse players, especially for those returning. While it may have been a fun change of pace for multiplayer in Black Ops 6 on small maps with fast respawns, I feel like it isn't well suited to a Call of Duty Battle Royale experience.
Again, skill-based matchmaking tends to be the issue here or engagement optimized matchmaking, because a lot of players don't run into the better players. So a lot of these players won't even have to deal with this in the slightest. I want to be very clear. Most players are not going to have to deal with the slip sliding all the time. Most players are going to have just regular stuff happening to them, running up on people and stuff like that, because the average player is around a 0.8 KD. You know, it's nothing crazy. So whenever people say like the movement's wild, in reality, doesn't even matter. Does not matter in the slightest that the movement's wild. It's just adding more options, which I think is always going to be better, because you do have those players that are hardcore and really love the game. And I'm not speaking about this on my behalf. I'm speaking about this on just allowing every group of people to have something that will be good for them, you know? So I don't think that that's like a great point, is to say this, that, or the other thing about the movement.
Intrinsically linked to this is a severe lack of consistency. This is a big issue. Every year a new COD game releases and they integrate that into Warzone. The result of this is that there's no through line and base understanding for the gameplay, which confuses players. Warzone 2020, basic, easy to understand, and then Cold War releases, guns get quicker, TTK gets quicker, movements faster. Next was Vanguard, Verdansk goes away, World War II setting, map design ethos changes, overpowered planes in the sky, bad visibility, and then Warzone 2, massive sweeping changes. They add an inventory system, they add AI, strongholds. It's now a mix between BR and an extraction game.
Yeah, so the big thing here is that plain and simple, we're 4 minutes into this, Jesus. The big thing here is that plain and simple, we just need to get rid of integrations. I know. Oh, we want the new thing. No. You get a new thing, but it's literally from Call of Duty doing it, like from Raven Software separating off. Raven needs to get full hands-on of Warzone. Warzone needs to split off. It needs to be on its own launcher. It should do whatever it wants to do. And then whatever the other games are that are launching every year, they can do whatever they want to do. But there's absolutely no reason that we should have to deal with buggy integrations every year because of the ego of the studios, because Treyarch wants to ruin everything about Warzone 3, right? They had a perfect Urzik stand, and then all of a sudden, gone. Guess what? Now we got to reset. We don't even have half the stuff that we had before. And you're going to see that over and over and over. So the big thing is you kind of want to have a game where they have full creative control. They can improve things. They can add maps. They can add new guns. They can take away maps. They can take away new guns. They can add rotations in, stuff like that. You literally could just treat it like Fortnite. And I know this is goofy, but the big thing is Fortnite gets so much content. I've talked about this for 5 years. Fortnite gets so much content because there's a team dedicated to that. And then they had a team dedicated to save the world, but they didn't have to cross over. Like, that was how it was, is that Fortnite's single player / multiplayer like campaign experience was completely different from the experience of Fortnite Battle Royale. And they were able to add so much stuff in and continue to improve it and stuff like that. And that's why Fortnite continues to be the biggest Battle Royale in the world. And if Warzone would do that and they'd stop worrying about these little stupid things where it's like, if you get this game, then you can level up over here because they're trying to push sales. If they'd stop focusing on that greed, then we could probably have one of the best games there is.
Snipers are changed and the pace is slowed down excessively. Modern Warfare 3, they revert most of that, and you have a weird hybrid that's been hodgepodged together, playing on an uninspired large map Urzikstan with no character. Black Ops 6, completely new movement system, still on the same big map. There's no ground zero for the players. And sometimes players might not necessarily like that year's flavour of COD either, yet they're forced to have it in Warzone. Many have favorites, some love the Black Ops type gameplay, some hate it, some prefer Sledgehammer, Infinity Ward for Modern Warfare. There's too much pulling and pushing, and I imagine that the dev teams are constantly bickering on what their vision of Warzone is for whatever year, yanking the game in different directions.
And again, if Raven Software, the company that fixed it every single year, could have full creative control, it'd be fine.
Time and time again, taking 1 step forward and 3 steps back. Problems and bugs that were previously fixed return again and again. Think about Counter-Strike. That game released in 1999. It's inherently the same game today, one of the most played games ever on PC. PUBG, there's a foundation they've stuck to, still incredibly popular. Warzone, it keeps flip-flopping, there's no conviction in the game design, and this is hurting it on many levels, and the choice to integrate it into the yearly cycle of Call of Duty games is not working.
Exactly.
Next, guns. Why is there over 160 weapons in the game? This clutch of Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, Black Ops 6, it cannot be balanced. It's bloated, overwhelming, intimidating. Thinking about all these guns that you have to level up now, which takes way longer than it used to, by the way. Only 5 of them get used most of the time.
It's completely
unnecessary. Seems so unnecessary. And the gear, there's too much gear, too many options. What's this? RDB, is that a life ring?
All right, this is again one of those things where I'm like, I don't think you're on this one. I do think there's too much gear, but I think it's the things that don't make sense that should be taken out. Things that do not get used. I think whatever they do is they're like the bottom 10% of usage out of the game. Get it out.
Do I have to be in water to use that? This is a Semtex. That doesn't really look like a Semtex, but whatever. A spy camera? What? So why would I want to take a picture in a battle royale game? What kind of spots people? It's a waste of time. Never going to use that again. What's this vest on the ground here? Oh, there's a different one here. Why is this board game from the 80s here?
See, again, it's like he's talking about stuff where I think if it was given in a little bit of a different way, it would have been much better. But you know, vests probably could have been perks. If vests were perked, much better situation. A lot of the, like the prox alarm, really stupid. Absolutely dumb. I think there's just a lot of stuff like that that is dumb and you just don't need it. But to say that it's all unnecessary, I don't know. To say that it's way too much, I don't know about that. I think there's, again, a certain amount of like, bring stuff in, take it out. Bring stuff in, take it out. Being able to vault things would make a big difference.
Yeah, what does that do then? There's just too much stuff in the game, too much stuff. Next, the game itself is not really a battle royale anymore. It plays more like TDM on a large map where there are 1,000 ways to respawn. You get your loadouts almost instantly, and the map just happens to get smaller and smaller until one person or team wins.
They've addressed this a little bit by removing flares from the buy station. It's very rare to get a flare. Like, very, very rare to get a flare. Like, I think it's fine, in my personal opinion, where it's at right now, because it keeps players like engaged. Because imagine it being blackout where you just like get screwed the second that you die. That's it. You're if you die, you're dead for the game. I think the gulag's good, but I also think that the old way of Warzone Verdansk was pretty good as well, because you could just go in, your teammate dies in the gulag, you go to a buy. I do think if we do it that way, we need more buys, because otherwise you're fighting 6 teams to get to 1 buy, which is insanely dumb because everybody just camps it and doesn't fight. But I think there's different ways to do it. And the problem is that whenever you have so many different opinions and ways to do it, and people want to play and people like Resurgence, and to be clear, the biggest issue is that Resurgence got super popularized during Warzone 2 because Warzone 2 sucked. So because of that, they assumed that people liked the way that it was set up, but you don't connect with the game as much whenever you play like a TDM, which is kind of the issue. There's no being scared. So I think that ends up being a big issue right here.
There are way too many options to respawn. You don't feel the danger or value your life in Warzone like you used to. And that takes away a key component of the game that made it fun and interesting. Warzone 1 struck a nice balance with this, but they've taken respawns in the main battle royale mode too far in the wrong direction now. Many changes they've made, in fact, have steered the game away from its original vision. There's no downtime anymore. Respawns, redeploy beacons that can move you around vast distances of the map in a few seconds, fast ziplines everywhere connecting buildings together, horizontal and vertical. The pace is relentless and you don't have time to breathe. Those quiet moments that you had in 2020.
I don't know about that. I think realistically, I think we get rid of the RDB. Having one in your pocket's pretty stupid. I think we get rid of the PRD. I think we keep the zips the way that they are. If anything, actually, you know what? I take that back. What if we just had PRDs? just a personal pop. I think that might fix that situation, because then there's a bit of a risk whenever you're playing in a team situation. Instead of everybody just grabbing the RDB and zipping out, you got one dude that's got to go take down 3 dudes. You know what I mean? I think that would make a little bit more sense if you want to add that like scarcity and slowness in the movement. Or we could bring back vehicles and make them good.
When you were looting, moving from point A to point B, working out how much money you had together to see if you could buy a loadout yet, chatting, catching up with your mates, socializing while you play, that's all gone. That's not possible anymore. Those moments were needed. People enjoy those moments. The peaks and valleys of 2020 Warzone are what made it addictive and interesting. There was a narrative, little stories and moments that you would have and remember. Nowadays, it's just a hyper-fast TDM with a shrinking play zone. Most players just run at each other full speed and hold down fire. The basis of a semi-authentic, realistic map that we used to have has been replaced for intense player movement and rotation. Moving on, vehicles. Useless now, no one uses them. Why would you when you can loot a redeployed beacon and move vast distances in a few seconds? Vehicles.
Yep. I think, yeah, just buffing the hell out of the vehicles would also be a great option. If we want to get rid of everything that launches you and sends you like that, the big thing about vehicles is that they were way too powerful. So whenever you have the launchers here, you're forced to fly. When you fly, you have to pull a parachute. When you pull the parachute, that makes it to where you can die. So you are risking your life every time you use some sort of redeploy beacon. So I don't know like what the right play is there, because I think being able to move quickly is good. I think maybe just having them in specific areas around the edge instead of just like dead center would be better, because then you could use a car to go around. But again, like there's just so much that goes into this. There's no way to know without having all the data and the way that fights are like engaged and stuff like that in this new game. So it's just very difficult to make this decision from a player's standpoint.
Vehicles in Warzone 2020 were fun. Big part of the gameplay loop. Driving around as a squad in a big truck, a jeep, relocating in a helicopter, but having to bail onto a roof at the last second because it just took too much damage from other players. This was exciting and it offered unique gameplay scenarios that COD didn't have before. The vehicles now handle poorly, they can be destroyed easily, they might as well not be in the game, and the map design has hampered the use of vehicles.
So I will definitely agree with that. I think that vehicles could be better, but the issue is that you can't shoot people out of vehicles now, which is insane to me. So now you have vehicles that suck and they'll die very quickly, except for the LTV, but you also can't shoot people out of them. Back in the day, one snipe, they're done. Right? But now it's physically impossible. I think snipers being nerfed actually ruined a lot of stuff for us as well.
Too. The other side of this is that vehicles also created epic and memorable moments for infantry who were fighting against them.
Oh.
Go on. Oh! No!
Damn!
No, Jack!
That's crazy.
No way! That is ridiculous.
Oh, you got it.
Hitting long-range RPG shots on helicopters and Berthas as they screamed by, being chased down on the main roads by quad bikes. Cinematic Michael Bay mode.
I would love it if RPGs were a little bit better against vehicles. If I hit a vehicle with an RPG, I want that puppy to blow up.
Firing javelin rockets at armored personnel carriers, setting proximity mine traps on the roads and bridges, using C4, sniping a pilot. That's all gone now. Doesn't happen anymore. Yes, I recognize that some of the vehicle systems were overpowered and they could be annoying at times. For example, flying a truck that can instantly accelerate to 200 miles per hour and roadkill you, but they've been nerfed to the point now where they're irrelevant, and I think that's...
I just don't like how bad the desync is with the vehicles. The fact that you physically can't run people over in 99% of scenarios is probably the reason that no one uses vehicles now.
It's a shame. Next topic, audio.
Dude.
This could have its own section, even video, but I wanted to include it in gameplay here because it is one of my biggest complaints with the game, and for me, it has a massive negative impact on my experience. I don't think Warzone has ever had good audio. You can't hear footstep sounds until they're right next to you. The footstep sounds get muted and muddied by other audio in the game. The engine does an awful job with multiple footsteps at once. There's a weird reverb effect now that's confusing. It's hard to
So a couple of these things are supposed to be getting fixed with season 2, and then season 3, of course, will have some kind of adjustment. But the one thing that I noticed in Modern Warfare 2019 is really wasn't that great. Caldera, I think, probably had the best footsteps because they really started working on the footsteps and stuff like that. Modern Warfare 2019 was good. I want to be very clear, it was good footsteps. But in Caldera, whenever it was Black Ops Cold War, they whatever they did, it went from like really bad to like okay. I just think we keep losing it every year. They're trying to update audio, and the issue is that whoever's doing the audio, they are in a room that's a literal theater, so they can hear it from all angles. But the issue is that when you shrink that down to a headset, what ends up happening is that you end up like occluding specific things, right? So audio should travel this way, but because your headset is just this way, you don't hear it bounce over that thing. It's supposed to sound really good if you're in a freaking theater, but nobody's in a theater, bro. Why would any of, like, we got freaking Dan, what's his name? I can't think of his name right now, but even that dude, he started putting on headphones in his theater, dog. Like, god dang, dude. Who's the dumbass that does audio at Activision, bro? Like, it is beautiful audio if you have a literal surround sound setup in the exact same position that they do it. Otherwise, they need to start mastering stuff on headphones or something.
Tell if someone's above or below you. Parachutes don't make noise a lot of the time, and someone can just land on you without you hearing a thing.
Yeah.
You put this all together, and to me, it makes me feel like I'm not connected to the game. I feel like I'm gliding around in a space and not grounded in the experience. My ears are not giving me the information and feedback that I need to understand the environment that I find myself in. And when I get killed by an entire squad who tactical sprinted up to me at full speed, and I watch the kill cam, my mouth agape with what I see, I alt tab, I watch my recording back, and all I can hear, just to make sure I'm not crazy, half a second before I die is 3 small pitter-patter footsteps. That is an incredibly frustrating and disconnected experience for a player that happens all of the time. Now, audio is a very contentious issue in this game because
Did he have gameplay music on while he was doing that? Because that's crazy.
there are 2 main schools of thinking with it that fight each other. The first school is very anti-accurate audio because people think that if you've got good audio in COD or Warzone, it will just promote camping and players won't want to move around the map at all for fear of being pre-fired or noticed too easily. The other school of thinking is pro-good audio, and that's the one that I assign myself to because to me, I think this through. Which one would I rather have, whether I win or die? Let's think of a scenario. You're in a building, moving through to the next zone, and you have a firefight with a squad at the end of a corridor. You get bogged down. Maybe you take out one of theirs, they take out one of yours, but you're still in the fight, reloading, whatever. Then all of a sudden, behind you, another 3-man squad appears that rushed up to your building and start shooting you in the back. If you had good audio there, you hear that other squad coming and you can act accordingly. You can flank, disengage, move so you're not in line of sight from a specific window, and get ready to fight another team behind you. Whatever, you might win, you might lose. With bad audio, like how it is in Warzone at the moment, that squad runs up to the building you're in. You don't hear them, they shoot you in the back and kill you. What would be more satisfying and interesting to me in that scenario? Spoiler.
Yeah, quite obviously, people that say I would really like it if no one had good audio, that's stupid as hell, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you. It makes physically no sense. Let's all be deaf, honestly, at this point. Like, everybody, no more headsets, no more teeth, cut off the audio entirely. That's where I'm at. Like, you can't get immersed in the world whenever you can't like recognize the fact that you're in a competitive environment, right? Like, you're in a competitive environment. You want to be able to hear the things around you. So why the hell would you sit there and not want to hear the people coming up to you? It makes zero sense. So like, I remember that back in the day, you could literally, you'd hear less if you were outside, but if you go inside a building, you hear footsteps better. I don't know what that was, but I loved that mechanic. It made the game so much better. So if I ever wanted to hear if someone was nearby, I'd literally like peek into the nearest building and then listen a little bit better because of the way that the footsteps bounced around that room, which I thought was kind of hilarious. But now you can't hear it inside or outside. Like, there's nothing. There's no audio whatsoever, and it's the most miserable thing on the planet. I have no understanding of it.
One where I can hear the squad coming regardless of if they kill me or not, because I would have had a level of understanding from the knowledge the game gave me before the fight, and I can act on that, regardless if I act correctly, incorrectly, regardless of if I die or not. For me, the game would be way more engaging and interesting that way if it A, had accurate footstep audio, so when people are sprinting around, I can understand roughly where they are, and B, gave players the option to crouch or walk almost silently, so if a player wants to be as quiet as they can be, sneak around, they still have that option, but they have to slow down a bit and think more about the engagement. A bit of risk, reward and strategy creeps in, rather than how it is at the moment, players just sprinting around holding W and Shift because they know how bad the footstep audio is and the chances of someone hearing them are low. To me, having better audio and more context of the situation around you is better whether you lose or win the engagement. And the audio is so bad that some PC players will spend time installing third-party software, adjusting and tweaking their EQ settings in Windows to completely distort the sound of the game just so they can raise the footstep audio slightly. Many pro players in tournaments, MP and Warzone, were using this and openly said that if they didn't, they felt like they were at a disadvantage. Some players consider this cheating too, but it shows how desperate people are for good audio. Overall, the whole
look. I'm gonna hit this one time. Feel free to clip me out of context if it makes you feel like a big man. Okay, when you play at a very high level, right? When you let's say you have a 5+ ED ratio, which is realistically like a 3+ kill death ratio. Let's say you have that, and you actively play at night, where that's when all the good players are on, so you get proper like SBMM/EOMM, where it forces you into demon lobbies 24/7. You know, there's enough players online to where you get that. If you are fighting those people, everybody has their audio tuned. Seriously, everybody. So if you go into that, you're dead. There's no way around it. Everybody has it like that. It's not like cheating, for the record, because cheating would be going in and changing and tweaking the game files to where it's like, let me cut off this audio entirely and then only hear footsteps. That would be cheating, clearly, because you're cutting off like all the environmental audio entirely. Zilch. There's nothing there. There's nothing to EQ. It literally is just gone. That's not what happens with a lot of these equalizer tunes, basically, is what it is, because what they'd go in and they do, let me be straight up, is they download a couple of softwares. One is just to like kind of emulate your headphones into the proper system that they're trying to do, which is 7.1 surround sound, which you do have on PlayStation. You have 3D audio on PlayStation. I know for a fact. I don't know how it works on Xbox, which is why I said whenever I was on PlayStation 5 making a video on console that the audio was just better. But the big thing is like it is turning it into the audio that it's supposed to be. Now, what they used to do, I remember back in the day, I did get my audio done back in Warzone 2, and what they would do is they'd literally download and make you pay for Dolby Atmos so that it could do that exact same thing, and then they found a free software for it. But they do that, and then they just do an equalizer. And they do the exact equalizer thing that I'm pretty sure you can do in a lot of different other things, like Astro mix amps and stuff like that. I'm not saying it's not better. It's absolutely better than doing it in a lot of other things, but it's not like you're changing the game files. It's nothing like that. So cheating, no. But it's literally like if you were to go and get your like a different set of headphones, you know, like we really need to start looking at when we do this stuff. And this isn't in defense of myself or anything like, I don't give a shit if you think that I cheat at the video game. It's a video game, bro. I clearly don't cheat. I make 60 videos a month that prove it. So I don't know how you could sit there and think it, but I think we've made it to the point to where we just call out anything as cheating if we don't like it and we don't want to do it ourselves. And I think that's absurd. I think we really need to start paying attention to the exact way that the terms of service of Warzone is worded, because this like train of thinking that just destroys the community is so dumb. Because if someone is actively getting banned for doing something and they are clear about that, this is why you got banned, then it is cheating. If they are not doing that, they are not actively banning. I'm not talking about shadow bans. I want to be very clear. Shadow bans happen because you get reported, plain and simple. That is how that works. It has nothing to do with any AI detecting you. It has nothing to do with anything. If you get detected by Ricochet for doing something, you get banned, fully banned, gone, zilch. That's it. But if you are reported, then you get shadow banned. That's why so many cheaters get shadow banned and then they get completely unshadow banned for free because they still didn't get detected. That's how that works. And if you can't see that, you're an absolute moron. You are an absolute moron, an idiot, someone that physically cannot comprehend the world around them. So please understand. Please understand. That is how it works. We need to recognize that if Activision is banning for something, that is cheating. That is plain and simple cheating. But there's a lot of things that, you know, might skirt the line a little bit, but it isn't cheating in the eyes of Activision. It's the same thing with VPNs. They try to try and make sure that people aren't using it for nefarious deeds, but they don't ban for people using VPNs. It's just not something they do. They try to keep people from two-boxing, but they don't ban people for two-boxing. There's a lot of things like that where it's like, is it ethically cool? Nah. But is it cheating? Also nah. So it's like kind of a gentleman's agreement in a lot of things. It's the same reason that you don't see people using the audio whenever you're in like a pro scene. But at the same time, Activision fully allowed every single player that wanted it to change their audio at Call of Duty Next. There were players, and if you go back and you watch all the streams from COD Next, it'll be proven, there were a lot of people, and I don't mean like, oh, there were a lot of people that had their audio tuned by Artist War. Artist War went in and changed the audio at Call of Duty Next. So if we're going to sit here and say that Ricochet works and shadow bans are for this, that, and the other thing, and Activision's banning people the right way, like, we just have to think here. So whenever it comes to the audio, while JackFrags said a lot of people think that's cheating, it doesn't mean that it's cheating. I want to be it's just, I'm just so tired of the dumb. And I probably shouldn't even have this conversation because it's just going to get clipped out of context and someone's going to be like, well, look at Expel. He's saying this, that, or the other thing. Whoa, 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 whoa. All right. Well, I mean, what do you want me to do? It's 2025. I just don't give a crap about dumbasses anymore. Like, that's the reality.
Audio system and way of thinking with it, the design mentality in Warzone and COD needs a huge overhaul in my opinion.
Sorry, I'm gonna go back just for a second. If you think that using an equalizer for your audio is cheating, 1, you're not allowed to use the frequency changes in Warzone. 2, every single person should have to use the exact same headset. 3, every single person should have to use the same monitor. 4, every single person should have to use the exact same internet. 5, every single person should have to use the exact same controller. 6, every single person should be forced to sit the exact same way while they're playing. The only thing that we do here, whenever people are like, anything that gives you an advantage is cheating, that's not how that works, because any headset is different. Any controller is different, and they can all give you different advantages, but Activision fully allows it. Having better internet is clearly an advantage. Having a better monitor with a higher refresh rate, insane. Like, I'm telling you, you have to recognize every single detail and think things through all the way, because if you reach that first step and you're like, yep, that's cheating, you're a fucking dumbass, bro. Straight up. You do not have enough thought in your brain to put together 1 and 1. For the record, it's 2.
So that's my core gameplay section complete. Next, we're going to move on to aesthetics. Now, I'm not going to sit here and
I can't wait for the comments down below where they're like, he protects streamers.
Tell you that a skin in a Call of Duty game is going to ruin my day, because it isn't. Skins can be fun, stupid, and they make a lot of.
I'm going to sum this one up right here because he goes on about it for a long time, and I don't think it's necessary in the slightest. The skins in Warzone, he thinks that they should be, he thinks that they should have a toggle, whether or not you can have these skins one way or the other. Like, if you want to do milsim, you have a toggle. If you want to do the paid skins, you have a toggle. The issue is that takes money out of Activision's pocket, because everybody would just toggle it off, because paid skins would naturally give you something like a rose skin or the black noir skin or something like that you can't see in a corner. But if you toggle it off and you get a milsim, they're not going to be a darker character. They're going to be somebody that you can see in a corner. So in my personal opinion, I think it'd be very dumb to give a toggle on Activision's part, but I would like it if we could get a toggle, because they would make less money, but we would have a better time in the game. So what do you think is going to happen? Is greed going to win? Let me know in a comment down below. It's just one of those things where it's like, dang it, dude, we just can't win for losing.
And perhaps the solution to this that would please both parties is to have a simple toggle switch in the options.
Yep.
I cannot believe that after 5 years, after all of the calls, the feedback sessions, the Reddit posts, the tweets, the blogs, the videos, the clips, the lawsuits, Warzone and Call of Duty still has a gigantic problem with cheaters. It's as worse as it's ever been, and the community does not trust that anything can be done to ameliorate the cheating situation. It's out of control. Legit players are getting shadow banned more often than ever now too. People don't trust each other and question every kill cam. The cheating situation is so.
On that same topic, I think a big issue is that kill cams are god awful and make 0 sense 99.9% of the time. And the reason why is because Activision doesn't want us to know what's going on. Their systems are terrible. They can't keep up with it. And they're using a Google Cloud service for their servers whenever it's actively been bad for a very long time. And it keeps getting degraded because of the amount that they're putting onto it. Now, from my understanding, I think Microsoft, whenever they picked up Call of Duty, they wanted to switch them over, but Call of Duty's got a deal with Google that takes forever. So that's kind of why we're seeing these servers be in such a bad situation. So whenever it comes to talking about stuff like that or server desync or anything like that, ironically, it's Google and Demon Software, which is Demon Software is who makes the matchmaking system and stuff like that. So just as a quick heads up, but yeah, cheaters are just like the worst in the world right now. And there's no way to figure out what's actually going on. So
only play with console players if the console player allows that in their matchmaking filters, or if they're in a party together. Yes, for legit PC players, this would have a big negative impact on matchmaking times, but sometimes a wolf has got to chew off its own leg to survive. This could be a good fix in the interim while they look at bolstering other forms of protection. Step 2, roll out a mandatory always-on secure boot anti-cheat for PC. Go down the same route as Valorant. Talk to Riot Games, get it done. Initially, people will complain en masse. If they want to play on PC, they've got to install it. No one trusts COD right now. This would be difficult, but in the long term, the benefits of having a clean game and a clean reputation would far outweigh the initial outrage and backlash.
Absolutely.
Step 3, in 2024, Microsoft bought Activision for $68.7 billion. Call of Duty is now owned by Microsoft. What do Microsoft make? They make Windows. You play Call of Duty on PC with Windows. They're probably doing this already, but work more with the Windows team. Work with Microsoft, come up with a better solution for fighting cheaters on PC, because what you got right now isn't enough and it's ineffective. And step 4, implement if it's not there already. I'd guess it was, and if it is, rely way more on real-time, in-game statistical analysis of players. From a data standpoint, obvious cheaters and rage hackers do things that human beings cannot. If that kind of obviously inhuman behavior is detected in a match, just ban it straight away. Moving on, skill-based matchmaking, engagement-based.
I think cheating wise, hit the nail on the head. I literally could not say that better myself. I'm not going to lie to you.
Matchmaking, whatever you want to call it, however you define it, however they define it.
Oh man, I love this. Oh, I don't think y'all understand how happy it makes me that we've made this shift. This massive shift, because for the longest time, everybody would say over and over, engagement optimized matchmaking doesn't exist. There's no matchmaking system based on engagement. It's all based on your skill level for the last 5 games. No, it has never been that way. They changed this stuff so many years ago, and we sat there and ate it up under the fact that it was skill-based matchmaking, because that's what it had been for years. And now there's been a massive shift where everybody is talking about the reality of this, which is engagement optimized matchmaking. I cannot stress how happy it makes me, because I have said this for years. I have said this since the beginning of Caldera. I've said this for so long, if not a little bit earlier, back in freaking Verdansk. I've talked about the fact that engagement optimized matchmaking exists, and people have called me an idiot for so long. And now to have people constantly point out the fact that it's engagement optimized matchmaking makes me so freaking happy, because now this shift will get people that are bad at the game, the casual players, the people that don't play all that often, they will get the word of mouth, because everybody knows about skill-based matchmaking and they care about it, or they don't care about it, or they like it. The issue that I hate is that people think that skill-based matchmaking was ever good. So whenever we switch that conversation, we actually explain what's actually going on, which is not about skill. It's about keeping you engaged and manipulating you. Then people get pissed. No one wants to be manipulated. No one. No one's out here like, boy, I'd love to get manipulated today. It's just, something about this. I'm so excited for the casual player to hear about this and just get pissed. Just get pissed, bro. Because when they start getting pissed, money gets lost from Activision. They're like, nah, F y'all. You want to freaking screw us over? You want to decide who's winning my game and make it less about me and more about that? And while I fully know that there's no way that we can ever prove whether or not skill-based hit reg is one way or another, it's just so good to know that we can at least have these conversations, and now everybody gets it. Oh, just so many years of this crap without people believing is so dumb.
If you're watching this video, you know roughly what it is. In this section, I'm not going to discuss if I think it's a good or bad thing overall. I'm just going to tell you how I feel when I play this game. This feeling started with Modern Warfare 2019. When I play quick play in Call of Duty now, be that multiplayer or Warzone, I feel like I'm being manipulated. I feel a severe lack of gameplay variety. I feel like I play with and against the same players over and over.
Yep.
I feel like my ping is higher on average. I feel like I wait longer for matches than ever before, and I feel like I can't play with my friends.
It takes me on average 7 minutes to find a match. 7 minutes in Warzone to find a match. 7 minutes. The game is 20 minutes long. It takes me 1/3 of the length of a match to find a match and begin. Like, do we not see an issue with this? This is all due to the matchmaking system.
In 2024, Call of Duty released a
Dude, this is crazy. I mean, it's
couple of blogs and white papers explaining how their matchmaking system works. In total, 44 pages of information. 44 pages. There's graphs and data. It's available for free for everyone to see and read. I think it's a fascinating piece, and I really appreciate the communication from them. However, on the first page, it states the following. As the community will attest, ping is king. Connection
Bullshit.
is the most critical and heavily weighted factor in the matchmaking process. I'm sorry to say, this does not line up with my experience of the game at all. It's like...
I feel like I keep having to say this. Their understanding of ping is king is under 200 milliseconds of ping. Technically, it's like under 120. But that is what they see as acceptable, which is why they say high ping is above 180. So just know that when they say ping is king, they mean, well, ping is king until it gets right up to the point where it's actually the time to kill of a weapon.
Like pointing at an orange and telling me over and over again that it's a banana. How can ping be king when there's a 44-page document explaining how the matchmaking works, and all of these other factors are a big consideration?
Yeah.
When I saw this for the first time, I found it quite funny, and in my head I'm doing this. So imagine a player clicks play to start matchmaking, and behind the scenes we see the matchmaking algorithm man trying to find a game for them. Okay, first thing, connection. Where are they based? North America, East Coast. Cool, cool, cool. So, here's some nearby servers. And look, 50,000 people currently searching for a game in North America. Brilliant. And then we need to think about how long they've been waiting for. Let's check. Okay, so only a few seconds so far. No worries, no worries. Okay, great. I found a super low ping server that they can play in here. 5 millisecond connection. Amazing. The game is just about to start. Whoa, wait. No. We can't put them in there because their kill death ratio is too low for that lobby. I just lost a load of good servers there. Hang on a second. What platform are they on? Xbox? Okay, so maybe we can put them with more Xbox players in this lobby. Wait, no, we can't. Average score per minute, slightly higher compared to the other players in there, so that would weigh the lobby too far in one team's favor and would be less likely to be a close match. It's going to be 90% chance instead of 95% chance. Unacceptable. How long have they waited now? Oh god, it's getting long. So what about this lobby? They don't have voice chat turned on. Can't put them in there. God, the selection of players is really getting a lot smaller now. What about the... No, not in there. So, oh, they're playing on controller. Good. How about this lobby with PlayStation players also using controller? Bit of crossplay. Good. Nah, come on, don't be silly. They just played on this map before. Can't put them in there. Sorry. I'm really not sure about this. I mean, they could go in this low ping.
All right, look, it like 100%, like it's accurate to what's going on, but that's actually how it thinks in real time. And listening to him say that just pisses me off. It literally, like, something infuriates me, and there's no reason for me to get upset about it, but I'm so tired of wasting time, dude. Time is one of those things where you can't get it back, you know? You just can't get it back. That's it. We all die. We don't know how much time we got. Do you really want to waste it sitting in a lobby waiting for some shit when they could just, you're in a game, congrats. Connection. That's it. Get rid of the matchmaking system. Wow. Oh, nearby server? That's it. That's the whole system, you fucking morons. That's all you got to do. That's it. That's all you got to do. Call of Duty. Wow. Jesus Christ.
That's how it feels to me. That is not ping is king. If ping was king, a player would click play, it would find any group of players searching to fill a lobby in a server close to them, put them in a group together and start the match as quick as possible. That's actually what ping is king would be. And that's not how the current system is at all. So you should know, if you're playing COD today, based on the information in the document they provided, in any mode that you play, you have a hidden rating, profile, and analytics on you that are being used to put you in a lobby that it deems acceptable. Skill and engagement are big factors. You're filling a hole. And no matter what level you're at, you can't see your own or other skill rating in the game. It will always try to match you with players of similar skill. If you think that's a good or bad thing, that's up to you. It limits the matchmaking system. You can get into some pretty rough servers with packet loss and high pings. Servers crash too, and they can be crashed by hackers now. And while there's no official data, third-party testers have surmised that the game runs at between 15 to 20 tick rate. I'm no game developer and I'm very ignorant to this, but my understanding of it is that the higher the tick rate, the more real up-to-date version each player has of the game. In layman's terms, it's how fast.
So instead of sitting here having a conversation about servers for so long, sorry, I did skip ahead to it quite obviously, but instead of having this conversation for so long, I have a lot of good videos on my channel discussing the server issues. So please go watch those. There's no reason to sit here and go through it 8 times. He does a good job explaining it, but I think I have videos that are like 50 minutes long that are going to help you. But I mean, man, let's
they can build
let's see his final thoughts here.
From scratch again and define what it is and what it wants to be.
Sorry, hold on. I've lost it. Let's go here.
Somewhat regularly. As of making this video on a Sunday in January, PUBG has 507,000 players on PC Steam right now, with a 24-hour peak of 758,000. That's impressive. In the 7+ years that the game has been out, it hasn't massively deviated from its original vision at launch either. It is still a battle royale. They added more big maps over time. They didn't try and shake up the game mechanics every year or make drastic sweeping changes. The movement is exactly the same as day one, apart from some good quality of life changes which were added, such as vaulting and hoisting. I enjoy kicking back on the game, playing with friends from time to time. And I don't engage with the battle pass or cosmetics either. I don't care about the progression. I just play the game and enjoy it for what it is, a game. Warzone needs to break away, in my opinion. It needs to draw a clean line in the sand where they can build from scratch again.
So I agree with that. But one thing, I mean, immediately off rip, the irony of him pointing to PUBG and then watch what happens when he gets over here. I'm going to mute it for a second. Watch what happens. He's going to switch over to Warzone, and then you'll see the issue with Call of Duty. See this right here? You see this right here? That is killing Warzone. Don't believe me? Go play any other battle royale. Go play any other battle royale. Tell me a battle royale that's massively popular, that has a system where to fight enemies with good weapons, you have to level them up first to get the proper attachments instead of simply getting them off the ground or just setting up your loadout before the game. Because I promise you, having to do that is forcing your player base to try and spend forever leveling it up. There's 160 weapons in this game. And the fact that this exists in the capacity that it does in a battle royale where you have one life, I mean, many technically, but you got one life for 20 minutes and you have to stay alive. And the other guy has a fully stacked out weapon and you still have to level yours up. How stupid is that? It's fun to unlock things, but we don't need to be unlocking weapons. We don't need to unlock the meta. That is stupid. That is a multiplayer thing where you die over and over and over and no one cares. In this, you have one life. That's it, dude. It is so dumb that they can't recognize the things that actively kill their game and will continue to kill their game. And this right here is it. And I just can't believe that we're just living through this timeline where Call of Duty could have had the most masterful thing on the planet and they just screwed the pooch. It is so absurd. It really is.
As a player, I'm looking for that level of consistency. A clean break would also be a great opportunity for the COD team to tell players that from this point in time, any purchases they make are staying with them in Warzone so they feel that they can invest and commit to the game in the long term. In Fortnite, for example, that isn't even a question. You know that whatever's on your account stays on your account and it will be accessible to you. On Steam, when Black Ops 6 released, the daily concurrent player count of the COD launcher was 306,000. Remember that encompasses multiple COD games too. As of today, that number is currently sitting at 50,000 concurrent players. Remember, these games are available on Game Pass, Battle.net and consoles too, so the actual
Steam is around 5 to 7% of the player base, as a quick heads up.
Overall player number is much higher than this, but what the Steam charts show us is a trend. If COD is losing this many daily players on Steam, it's probably losing a proportionate amount on the other platforms too. This time it definitely feels a bit different to me. When Warzone released, it was a nice white t-shirt. You wore it every day, you washed it. it came back looking like new, smelling great. Each time there was a new season, a big map update to Verdansk, a new point of interest, you felt the excitement. The Halloween event was incredible. Then you got killed by a cheater for the 10th time. That left a stain. And then the server lagged out again. That left a stain. And then you got squad wiped in the final circle by someone glitching under the map. New stain. And then you were told that the cosmetics you paid for didn't carry across to the next version of the game. Big stain. You couldn't use your kill streak. Stain. You try and wash it and you can't get those stains out, but you keep playing, trying it again. And then you get killed by someone who made no footstep sounds running on the floorboards right next to you. New stain. Then a flying hacker car wipes you out. Stain. They take your favorite game mode away. New stain. Your game crashes with a dev error. Stain. You take the t-shirt off, you throw it in the washer, one more spin, comes out, no difference. It doesn't change. There's too many stains on it. They've left too many marks. And you know what?
Ironically, I think it actually gets thrown in the wash and somehow comes out with an even bigger stain. And the old ones that were there reappeared. It's more like you washed it, some of the stains came out, then you washed it again and the stains somehow came back. That I think would be a little bit more accurate than, oh, the stains just keep coming. Of course they keep coming, but the issue is that sometimes you get it out and they just come back for some reason. We don't understand.
What? You're not going to wear that t-shirt anymore.
And it shrinks.
Needs a new t-shirt. This game was a massive deal for Call of Duty. Free to play, exciting and fresh. I spent hours having fun on the game with friends, but I don't play it much at all anymore. I find that kind of sad considering how good it used to be, and I hope that we can come back to that in the future. Yes, I know, Warzone 2020, it wasn't perfect. There were some big issues with balance, dead silence, stopping power, etc. But goddamn, it was fun as hell. Simple.
Yeah, on this topic, I think the last few things that I'm going to say are this. I think we look at Warzone 1 with some crazy rose-tinted glasses. I think the game was fun because of the time that we experienced it. I think every game is better at the beginning because everyone gets to learn it together. There's no one ruining everybody's game because they've done this, that, or the other thing. People have not discovered the amount of cheats that are available for it. I mean, again, I think a lot of this is just misremembering what the experience was truly like. I also think JackFrags, me, every content creator at the time was making a boatload of money because our videos got more views during COVID, meaning that we loved whatever was happening. So trusting any content creator when it comes to this stuff is a little difficult, to be quite honest. And I'm saying that as someone that is a content creator. This is what I do. This is what I do. So it's like, do you really want to trust people that are like sitting here telling you it was so good back in the day? Yeah, I mean, nostalgia does that, dude. I think we gotta look at Andy Bernard for this. I mean, we had the good times, and I wish we knew they were the good times before they were gone. I mean, realistically, that's what it is, man. And I talked about this the day that Verdansk was gone. I knew the day Verdansk was completely gone. I saw Andy Bernard in my brain. I was like, that's where we're going to be. That's exactly where we're going to be in 6 months. And I like, obviously feels good to say, but I was right. I knew it was going to happen. And while I am someone that really thinks that Caldera was actually a good map, I think the original Caldera was a great map. I think they really effed that up. The issue is that it didn't run because they didn't optimize it, because they didn't get enough time on it, because they were expecting Blackout 2. But I think we just keep going down this and kicking the can down the road. And until we get meaningful changes, which hopefully are coming season 2, season 3, Verdansk, I hope we see the changes that we need before they launch something, because at this point they should have just given us Avalon instead of trying to nostalgia bait us. And then when they give us nostalgia bait, I think they should introduce map rotation for big map. Frankly, I think that would be a pretty big deal, is that it rotates every hour on the hour. I think that would be a great idea in my personal opinion. But either way, man, I think there's a lot of good, and I think there's a lot of bad that exists within Warzone's current standing. But I also think that we're heading the right direction, which really is goofy to say because it feels like we were doing that every single year with every integration as we start heading the right direction, and then the integration hits and we just drop off a freaking cliff. But obviously right now I'm pretty hopeful. That's about it. I don't even know what else to say. I think that's it. I think you're going to subscribe or you're not going to subscribe. I think we're going to agree or not agree. And I think y'all are going to have a lot of things to say in a comment down below. Also, hopefully I don't have to make any more videos reacting to stuff because I'm so tired. As you can tell from this video, I was just like, I watched this video. I knew certain things were important and I wanted to cover those things, which is kind of why I jumped around. But there's just some things that we've beat the absolute out of it with a baseball bat, and we get it, you know, one of those things. But it is what it is. Feel free to go check out JackFrags' video in the comment down below, in the description down below. Have a good day. Subscribe or don't. Your call. Really, I'm not bothered, but I'd like it if you did.